What's going on, guys? Welcome in the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. Welcome in on this Saturday afternoon. Hopefully you guys are enjoying all the college football going on today. I just wanted to hop on here, a little at-home style video, because there's a lot to talk about around our Minnesota Vikings. And the first story we're going to be talking about is Akiem Hicks. I talked about Akiem Hicks early on in the week. He posted something on Twitter, actually, pretty much saying, he loves the Vikings fan base, and he would almost be open to, going to the Vikes. So I'll be talking about his fit and if it would make sense for the Vikings to bring him in on the first half of today's show. Second half, in regards to Sunday, Vikings Chargers, going over the final injury reports for both teams. Huge injury news specifically on the Chargers side of things. Vikings catching a couple breaks there, so we'll be breaking that down at the second half of today's video. But guys, make sure you guys do hit that subscribe button. Doing a little at-home video on my off time, so if you guys want to make me look good for my bosses here, hit that subscribe button, and also make sure you turn on your notifications, because we're going to be going live here on the channel about an hour before kickoff. Vikings Chargers, I'm super excited. Must-win game. Two desperate football teams, going to be a good one. So make sure you guys subscribe, tune in for that, and hey, send a message to my bosses that Vikings fans don't play around, and help me out. So hit that subscribe button. But let's jump into it. Akiem Hicks, first story on today's show. So Akiem Hicks, I talked about him earlier this week as just another free agent the Vikings could sign after the Dalton Risner move and obviously the Cam Akers trade. And I think we've seen Kwesi has shown, I don't know if aggressive is the right word, but he's not afraid to make moves. And that's why I feel like when these rumors start coming around the Vikings, I take them a little more seriously than I would back in the Rick Spielman era, just because I think Kwesi, he's heard the noise from the Vikings fans about the last two draft classes. Obviously not really playing too well right now, especially the 2022 draft class where, I don't really can name a single player that's really contributing besides a Caleb Evans. But I think Kwesi's kind of heard some of the noise, so he's going to try to be a little more aggressive. So could Akiem Hicks fit into that kind of next move that the Vikings can make? I would love it. We know as Vikings fans, he has absolutely dominated this football team. Back when he was in Chicago, it was him and Khalil Mack. That was their 1-2 punch in that on that vaunted Bears defense. But I always feared Akiem Hicks more. If I had to pick one player out of those two to be out for a game, it would 100% be Akiem Hicks. And the main reason being is just he has dominated the Minnesota Vikings, and he truly was that anchor in the middle of the defense. He would take on blockers, he would open stuff up for guys like Roquan Smith when he got there, then obviously Khalil Mack on the edge. Back in his prime, Akiem Hicks, it was him or Kenny Clark. They would dominate the Vikings every year at that interior of that defensive line. So about him specifically for the Vikings this year, I would bring him in as a depth piece. I don't think it would hurt at all. Obviously, he's not the same player as he was back in the day, but I think he's still got some juice. And maybe you could just say, hey, first and second down, that's all you. Or even just maybe heavy first downs where it's the other team's running the football late in the game and you're like, hey, Akiem, we need you to go take on blockers, maybe get a huge TFL, because he is super fast for his size. That was always the thing I loved about him, was he had super quick hands, super quick hips, and he would always, he would make the Vikings interior linemen look like absolute idiots. And so I'm a big fan of Akiem Hicks. I think he's been great throughout his NFL career. One of my favorite non-Vikings in the league. And plus, he would always get up, rub his belly. He would always have some sweet celebrations. He's always talking smack, too, bringing a sense of swagger to a defense, which I think the Vikings run defense needs. I like what they've done this year. I like what Brian Flores has done, obviously taking a step up from last year. But let's add some more dogs. Let's add a guy like Akiem Hicks. I think that would be my number one player for the Vikings. If I could choose one to sign, it would be either Akiem Hicks or a guy like Ndamukong Suh. So just somebody get in there on that interior of that defensive line. That's who I would bring in. But I'll ask you guys, would you guys sign Akiem Hicks? I'll make this a pinned comment just because I'm curious. See what you guys got to say. Give me a Y for yes or give me an N for no down in the comment section. Now, let's shift to injury report time, because game this Sunday, big time game. Obviously 2 0-2 teams. Both teams are desperate. I think the Chargers are a good football team. I think the Vikings are a good football team. So this is going to be a playoff game atmosphere. So obviously injury reports, there's a little more weight on them this week. But biggest news for the Viking side of things, we'll do that first. Marcus Davenport has been ruled out. He's been dealing with his ankle injury. And I will say I've seen a lot of noise on Twitter. Vikings fans aren't really too happy with a couple of his press conferences. Listen, I'm not going to look into it too much yet. You obviously give him a big-time one-year deal this offseason. I would love to have him out there, but, if he can contribute later on in the year and have some big sacks and some big-time divisional games and, hopefully the Vikings make the playoffs and he, has a big play there, like, that's when he's going to earn his money. I'm not really too concerned about him missing games, September 23rd. Like, I don't know. Listen, I'm fine with it. Like, obviously I'd want him there, but I don't think it's the biggest deal. I'm not really overreacting like I guess some other people. But also Garrett Bradbury, he's questionable still with his back. Would love to get him back. I've been saying I think my dream offensive line for the Vikings this week, it would obviously be Darrisaw and O'Neal at the tackle position, Ezra Cleveland at the left guard, Bradbury center, and Dalton Risner at right guard. That's who I would go as my dream 5. Will it happen? Probably not. I still think it's going to be Ed Ingram at right guard this week, so you're rolling the die there. I mean, I would just play Dalton Risner. I think he would be instantly an upgrade over Ed Ingram, and that's what I would just do personally. But also, random little tidbit, the Vikings YouTube page, a little self-flex right now. They used a clip from one of our videos here when talking about Brian O'Neill. It's a little montage of Brian O'Neill kind of getting back. And at like the 25-second mark, they used a clip about me talking about just kind of saying like, oh, it's great to have Brian O'Neill back. Like, it makes me incredibly happy. Obviously I was saying like this is a different football team without him. So if you guys want to check out the Vikings YouTube page, you actually hear my voice on one of the Brian O'Neill videos. Somebody commented yesterday. I think it was like Sacred Weirdos or something commented. So shout out to you for bringing that to my attention. Super, super cool. But kick it to the Chargers injury report here. Eric Kendricks, former Minnesota Vikings legend, he is out. Bigger news, Austin Ekeler, star running back for the Los Angeles Chargers, is ruled out. That's huge for the Vikes. Listen, Ekeler is one of the best dual threat backs that we have in the league right now. He can get it done in the run game, pass catching game, whatever it may be, make you miss in the open field. So not having him there, I think, is huge for this Vikings team. He's a talented back. And with the Vikings, getting run all over last week by DeAndre Swift and that Eagles offensive line, good to kind of see, somebody else step in, or good to see that he is out. Hopefully the Vikings run D can step it up a little bit. But this is the big one. Joey Bosa is questionable. I fully expect him to go. They're 0-2, must-win game for them as well. But he's questionable. If he could somehow miss this game, that would be huge because Khalil Mack's also on the other side, but it's not the Khalil Mack that we remember for the Chicago Bears. Still a tremendous player, still a top 15-ish edge rusher in the league, but he's not that top 3, not that Bosa type that he was back in Chicago. So if Bosa could miss, and you could really zero in on Khalil Mack. I mean, listen, I'm not saying obviously it's not a must-win game. But if you lose to the Chargers at home with Austin Ekeler out and Joey Bosa banged up, and I get you got your injuries with Bradbury and Davenport, but if you're mostly healthy, I don't know. I think it would be embarrassing. The one thing I don't want the Vikings to do this Sunday is overthink this game. Justin Jefferson has the chance to be the first receiver to have 3 straight 150-yard games. Go do it. Go get him that record. I think Justin Jefferson, I have been saying he's the best non-quarterback in the league. But I think he's almost getting to the point where he's more valuable than some quarterbacks. And I want to see Jefferson just keep taking that next step. I mean, this is year 4 for the kid, and he's gotten better every year. Yardage-wise, stat-wise, just eye test-wise, he's been great. So, I just want the Vikings to force-feed Jefferson. Obviously, it's not no breaking analysis here, but, I just don't want them to overthink this and be like, oh, should we get Addison? Should we get KJ more involved? Use him more as a decoy? It doesn't matter if they're double, triple teaming him. He's going to find the open spot. He's going to make dudes miss. Get 18 the football early and often, and then eventually open up everything else. Still use the pass to set up the run. The Vikings aren't that physical up front or aren't good enough in the run game to use the run to set up the pass. You got to go to your strength early and often against the Chargers. Send a message to that secondary that, hey, all that film you watch all week on Justin Jefferson and you're trying to take him away, it doesn't matter. We have an answer. Now you got to adjust. That's my TED Talk. That's my little motivational speech for Kevin O'Connell to get frickin' 18 to football more in the second half, mainly, because I feel like the Vikes have kind of gone away from him in the second half. I love what they've done in the first half, force-feeding him the ball. Do it all 4 quarters. The guy doesn't get tired. I mean, he's truly a generational talent. I mean, on and off the field. I swear if this guy ever suits up for another team, I will never forgive Kwesi or whoever the GM is at the time. But thank you guys so much for watching. That's going to do it on today's video. Talked a little Akiem Hicks. Talked a little injury reports from both sides. Super excited for the game. Again, make sure you guys do hit that subscribe button. We're going to be going live around an hour before the game, maybe 45 minutes. We'll see, how excited you guys are. But I'm pumped up for the game. Hope you guys are too. Subscribe, stay in the loop. See y'all next time. Skol Vikes.